Hello, students, and a very good morning to you. Students, today we are going to discuss chapter 4 of class 8 science, that is metals and non-metals. So let's have a look what we will study in this chapter. In this chapter we have to study about metals and non-metals. So we will study about physical and chemical properties of metals, physical and chemical properties of non-metals, as well as uses of metals and non-metals. So this chapter is divided in two parts. This is the first part of this chapter, and in this part we will study about physical and chemical properties of metals and their uses. In next part of this chapter we will study about physical and chemical properties of non-metals and uses of non-metals. So, students, in your previous class, in class 7th, you have studied about elements, compounds, and mixtures. So, based on some physical and chemical properties, means some basic physical and chemical properties, these elements are divided or classified or grouped in two parts. They are metals and non-metals, means all elements which are found. There are 118 elements discovered till date, so they are divided in two groups, metals and non-metals. So majority of them are metals and rest of them they are non-metals or metalloids. So in this chapter we will study about metals and non-metals. Now next thing is, what are metalloids? So metalloids are the elements which have the property of both metals and non-metals, means those elements which have the property of metals and non-metals both, they are called as metalloids. So there are 8 metalloids, and some of them are boron, silicon, arsenic, or antimony. So many are there. Now, first of all, we have to study about metals. So, metals are the most precious natural resources found on the earth. Metals are mostly they are found in combined state in the form of oxides or sulfides or carbonates, silicates, etc. And very rarely they are found in free states also, like gold, silver, platinum, because they are inert, means they are less reactive. And the metal which are found in free state, they are known as they are in their native state. So in the earth crust, metals are found with impurities called minerals, and the metals have to be removed from these impurities. So the minerals from which metals can be extracted economically, they are called as ores. About ores you have studied. Now, first of all, we will study about the physical properties of metals. So metals are generally they are found in solid and hard state, means metals they are solid and hard with high tensile strength, means they can bear heavy loads also, as for example iron, zinc, aluminium, copper, tin, and so many other metals are there which are found in solid state and they are hard also. But some exceptions are also there, as some metals are solid but they are very soft, means they can be cut with knife, as sodium and potassium. They are solid but they are soft. Next exception is mercury. Mercury is the metal which is found in liquid state at normal temperature or in room temperature. Okay, now the next thing is that metals they possess metallic luster, means they are lustrous, they are shiny, they have shine on them, means all of you have seen some of the metals as aluminium or gold. As you have seen, gold has yellow luster. Copper has reddish brown luster. Then iron, silver, magnesium, or aluminium, so they are having white luster, means metals they have luster, they have metallic luster, or they are shiny. Now, the next property of metal is that metals are malleable. Means they can be flattened into sheets by beating or rolling. Means they can be hammered or they can be beaten into very thin sheets without breaking. And this property of metal is called malleability. So, all that sheets of metals that we see around us, these are because of the property of metal, that is malleability. So I think you all have seen the iron sheet or tin sheet. So these are because of the property malleability. Then you have seen the sweets which are decorated with silver foil. So this is also because that silver metal is so malleable, so it can be converted. It is beaten in the form of thin sheet. Then you all have seen aluminium foil, which is used for packing food stuff. So that aluminium is also a metal and it is also beaten in the form of thin sheet. So metals, they can be beaten into thin sheets, and this property of metal is called malleability. Now the next thing is that metals are ductile. Means they can be drawn, they can be melted, and they can be drawn into wires. So this property of the metal, where it can be drawn into thin wires, this is called ductility. So you all have seen gold, silver, copper, they are very ductile, and that is why they can be drawn into, because they are very flexible, so they can be drawn into the form of very thin wires, and this property of the metal is called ductility. So all that jewelries you have seen, this is because of the property of metal, that they are ductile. Or you have seen that electrical wires, they are made up of copper and aluminium. So these are also because of the because of the property of metal, that they are ductile. Now, the next physical property of metals is that metals are good conductor of heat. Means they allow the flow of heat energy through them. That is why they are good conductors of heat. So here you can see one activity. That activity is very simple, and you all have did this activity, I know. Suppose we have taken one container. In that container, or in that tumbler, we have to fill hot water, and we have to take two spoons. One spoon will be of plastic spoon and another spoon will be metallic spoon. And now you have to dip both the spoons in water, and you have to leave it for some time. After some time, when you will touch the spoon which is made up of plastic, the another end of that plastic spoon will not be hot, but the spoon which is made up of metal, that metallic spoon will be hot. Means the another end which is not dipped in water, that end also become hot. Why? Because the heat energy will be transferred from one end to another end. It means that metals are good conductor of heat, and that is why utensils, cooking utensils, are made up of metal, because they conduct the heat energy, and the food is cooked very easily and in less time. Now the metals are good conductor of electricity, you all know. That is why copper or aluminium, they are used in electrical wires. Then metals have high density and high melting point. And metals are sonorous. Means when they are striking on each other or with any hard material, then they produce a ringing sound. And that type of property, this property of metal is called sonorous. Means metals are sonorous. So this property of metal is used in wind chimes or bells or musical instruments. Now we have to study about the chemical properties of metals, but before this we should know about the reactivity series of metals, because this reactivity series is very important. It tells us about the reactivity of metal, means which metal has which type of reactivity and how easily it reacts with any other element. So it's a series where the most reactive metal is placed at the top, whereas the least reactive metal is placed at the bottom. This series is called reactivity series. So reactivity series is the series which tells us how easily or how difficult is the metals to react with any other element. So this is reactivity series. When we talk about the reactivity series, we can see when we move from top to bottom, then reactivity of the element means reactivity of the metal decreases. It means the metals which are present at the top of the reactivity series, they are highly reactive, and the metal which is present at the bottom of the reactivity series, they are least reactive. So this is very important for the chemical properties of metal. So as we can see, potassium, sodium, calcium, these are present at the top of the metal. So these two, especially sodium and potassium, they are highly reactive. So these are having a high reactivity, and the metals like silver, gold and platinum, they are present at the bottom. That is why they have least reactivity. Now, chemical properties of metals. So we know that metals, they differ in their ability to react with the substances as oxygen or water, acids and bases. Why? Because of their reactivity. So first of all, we will see what happen when metals react with oxygen. Means we will see action of oxygen on metals. So when metals react with oxygen, they form their oxides, and these oxides are basic in nature. And how we will come to know that they are basic in nature? Because this thing you have studied in class 7th also, that when metals react with oxygen, they form their oxides. These oxides are basic in nature. And how to test it? We know that when we dip red litmus paper in that solution, then red litmus paper will turn into blue color. It means they are basic in nature. Now, different metals we have seen in reactivity series, so they react with oxygen differently. As for example, we have seen that in reactivity series, sodium and potassium, they are present at the top, so they are highly reactive. They readily react with oxygen and they form their oxides. That is why they are stored in kerosene. Now, other metals are also there. As for example, after sodium and potassium, other metals are also there like calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron. They also react with oxygen, but not like sodium and potassium. So they react with oxygen very slowly. Means when you left them in exposed in air for a long time, then they get tarnished, means they lose their shine, and they form oxide layer on them because of the reaction with oxygen which is present in the air. They form oxide layer and they get tarnished, means they lose their shine. Now, you have studied about magnesium ribbon also, that when magnesium ribbon, it burn in the presence of air, so oxygen is also present in the air, so it burns with a white dazzling flame, white shiny flame, and it produces a white powdery mass, white powdery ash, that is magnesium oxide. Just like that, when sodium reacts with oxygen, it also forms sodium oxide. So it is also basic in nature. When zinc react with oxygen, then also it is formed ZNO, that is zinc oxide. So they all are basic in nature. Now, other metals like copper reacts with oxygen, but when they are strongly heated, then only copper reacts with oxygen. Then silver and gold, and yes, platinum also, they do not react with oxygen. Why? Because they are least reactive and they are present at the bottom of the reactivity series. Now, other metals like iron, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, and copper, they rust. Rusting of iron you have studied in class 7th. Just like iron, other metals like magnesium, aluminium, zinc, and copper also they rust when they are left exposed in the moist air for a long time. Then they rust. And rusting of iron, you all know that when iron it is left exposed in moist air for a long time, then iron reacts with oxygen and moisture, means water, and it form iron oxide. So this is rusting of iron. Now, action of water on metals means how metals react with water. So metals they react with water to form metal oxide and metal hydroxide and hydrogen gas. So what happens when sodium and potassium react with water? You all know that these two metals are highly reactive. So they can react with cold water also, and they form soluble hydroxides. Means when sodium and potassium they react with water, then they form their hydroxides and hydrogen gas. Then magnesium reacts with boiling water. It does not react with cold water. It reacts with boiling water and it forms magnesium oxide and hydrogen gas. Then red hot iron also it react with steam. It react with steam and it form iron oxide and hydrogen gas. But some metals like silver, gold, platinum, they are very least reactive. That is why they do not react with steam, or they cannot react with cold water or hot water also, and that is why they are called as noble metals. Now, next is action of acids on metals. Means what happens when metals react with acids. So when metal reacts with acid, then effervescence of hydrogen gas are formed. And with the evolution of heat energy, means heat energy is formed along with hydrogen gas. And the most important thing is that in this reaction, salt is also formed. So we can say that when metals react with acid, then salt, hydrogen gas, and heat energy, these three things are produced. So here you can see the examples. Some of the examples are given as magnesium. It reacts with hydrochloric acid and it forms salt, that is MgCl2, magnesium chloride, with hydrogen gas. Then aluminium reacts with HCl, hydrochloric acid, and it forms aluminium chloride and hydrogen gas. Zinc reacts with H2SO4, means sulfuric acid, and it forms zinc sulfate, which is a salt and hydrogen gas. Sodium reacts with HCl and it forms sodium chloride and hydrogen gas. And just like that, iron also reacts with HCl, hydrochloric acid, and it forms iron chloride and hydrogen gas. So these metals they react with acids and they form salt, hydrogen gas, and heat energy. But metals like copper, gold, silver, platinum, they do not react with dilute acids and they do not release hydrogen gas. Now, action of bases on metals means what happens when metals react with bases. So, most metals they do not react with bases. Aluminium, lead, and zinc they react with strong bases like sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide to form complex compounds with the release of hydrogen gas. But here you will see how aluminium or zinc react with bases. So in first one we can see that aluminium metal is there. It reacts with sodium hydroxide, which is a very strong base, and it forms sodium aluminate. Then zinc react with KOS, that is potassium hydroxide, and it form potassium zincate. Now, displacement reaction. So this displacement reaction is very very important. So what happened in this reaction? In this reaction, the more reactive metal, can displace a less reactive metal. So we know what means how a metal is more reactive or less reactive, because we have studied about reactivity series also. So in this reaction, more reactive metal displaces the less reactive metal from its salt solution. That is why this reaction is called as displacement reaction, where more reactive metal displaces the less reactive metal from its salt solution. So let's see some examples. Here in first one you can see iron is reacting with copper sulfate. Copper sulfate is a salt of copper. Okay, so what happened when iron react with copper sulfate? So in reactivity series, we know that copper is at the bottom, but iron is at the top. So iron is more reactive than copper, means iron is at the top as compared to the copper. That is why iron can replace, it can displace copper from the solution, and it forms iron sulfate. Okay, just like this, magnesium also. Magnesium, when it reacts with copper sulfate, then it displaces copper from this copper sulfate solution, and it forms magnesium sulfate. Zinc also it is present at the top as compared to the copper. So zinc displaces copper from the copper sulfate solution, and it forms zinc sulfate, and they all releases copper as a metallic form. Now in the next example we can see that iron is reacting with zinc sulfate. Now when you recall the reactivity series, then you can see that iron is at the bottom as compared to the zinc, means zinc is present at the top. Zinc is present at the top just above the iron, means in reactivity series zinc is above the iron. So obviously zinc is more reactive than iron. Iron is less reactive. So here in this reaction, iron is less reactive. That is why it cannot displace zinc from zinc sulfate, and no reaction will take place here. Just like that, copper, when copper react with magnesium sulfate, so copper is not uh, present at above magnesium is above copper, so magnesium is more reactive than copper. That is why copper cannot replace magnesium from magnesium sulfate solution, and this reaction will not take place. Now zinc, when what happened when zinc react with calcium sulfate, so calcium is at the top as compared to the zinc, means zinc is less reactive than copper. So sorry, that calcium, so zinc cannot replace calcium from the solution. That is why this reaction cannot take place. It means that the reaction where the more reactive metal can replace a less reactive metal from salt solution, that reaction is called displacement reaction. The less reactive metal cannot replace or cannot displace the more reactive metal. Now uses of metals. What are the uses of metals? So first of all, you all know that copper and aluminium, they are the metals, they are used for making electrical wires because they are good conductors. Then copper and aluminium and iron metals, they are used to make household utensils, tools, machines, and so many equipments. Then iron is used in construction purposes also. Zinc is used to galvanize iron to protect it from rusting. In your previous class also you have studied about it, and that galvanized iron is used to make water pipes, water nest, or barbed wires, and so many things. Next, alloys. Alloys, you know that these are the metallic substances where two or more than two metals or a metal or non-metals, they are mixed together to form some materials of desirable quality. So alloys, they are the metals, they are used to enhance the properties of the metal. And stainless steel, brass, bronze, these are the examples of alloys. Then mercury you all know it is liquid in state, and they are very good conductor of heat also. That is why it is used in thermometer, because it does not stick to the glass. Then gold, silver, and platinum, they are used to make jewelry after alloying with other metals. And these metals are highly malleable as well as they are ductile. So these properties also they used in making jewelry, and yes, they are very shiny also. Then magnesium is used in firework. You all know. Then when it burns, then it produces a dazzling white light. So this property of the magnesium, it is used in fireworks. Then aluminium foil is used to pack food and medicines, because aluminium metal it is very malleable. Just like that, the silver foil also it is used to decorate the sweets because of the property that it is malleable. Then sodium, titanium, and zirconium, they are used in atomic energy and space researches. And zirconium is used in the preparation of bulletproof alloys of steel also. Then one very important metal, that is iron. Iron is the very important constituent of hemoglobin, which is the integral part of the blood. And just like that, you all know that magnesium, it is also a metal which is present in the chlorophyll. So these are the uses of metals. Now, in next part, we will discuss about the physical and chemical properties as well as the uses of non-metals.